Welcome everyone. Happy Wednesday, veterans, and thank you for spending some time with us today. Before we get started, today's topics, and sound off in the comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from, what branch, and what years you served. Welcome home, everyone. I'm
Hello,
here
everyone.
with my host or co-host, veteran coach Sandra. Glad to see you again.
Thank you, Ian. Same here. Glad to be here with you today. And speaking about a very important topic for sure. So very honored to be here with you all. Let's see your comments, see where you are tuning in from, what branch of service you served in. Looking forward to that. Welcome,
Absolutely.
Joey. Yes.
Vernon Brooks, United States Air Force. Joanne Shirley. They're going so fast. I'm trying to keep up here. 23 years Army. Go Army. San Antonio, United States Air Force.
Joanne, welcome.
Welcome, everyone.
10 spacing. I like that. RV Strong. Welcome. Welcome,
Quite
Casey.
a few Army.
Yes.
Army retired. Welcome, Steve. Glad to see you here. He's one of my vets. Coming from us in Willis, Texas. He's getting ready to go on a hunting trip here shortly. So welcome, brother.
Hi.
Glad to see you here.
Atlanta. Go Air Force. Hi, Scott. I had to say that, of course. It's nice to see
Army
everyone.
veteran.
Yes.
Another Army veteran from Vegas. United States Air Force. Arch, welcome. Roger, welcome. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome, Helen. Yes.
Reverend Michael's got looks like a Cowboys symbol there, if that's correct. I'm a Cowboys fan, so welcome. United States Marine Corps, James, welcome home. Got a wide range here today.
Hi, John, Air Force, another Air Force. I like calling out the Air Force, obviously.
No harm in that. Helen McNair, welcome, United States Air Force. Did your 20. You're right down the street there in Pflugerville, Texas. I'm in Cedar Park, so welcome home. Our own Stacy Allen, veteran coach Stacy Allen, our boss. Yeah.
Welcome, Stacy.
Go get you that popcorn. This will be a good one.
Welcome, Janet. We're going to get started here, soon. Just wanted to welcome everyone.
Right, about 2 more minutes. Welcome, Art. Hey, I'm originally from Montana. Welcome. It's beautiful up there. We used to call that God's country. That's why it's called the Big Sky State.
Welcome, Wayne. Army 6869. Thank you all for your service.
Absolutely.
Greatly appreciated.
Welcome, Janet. Welcome, Ray. There's one of your vets. Welcome, David. Glad to see you here.
Welcome, Lisa. All right.
Donnie, thank you so much for your extended service.
Yes, indeed.
Go Army. All right, so we're going to get kicked off with some introductions. So I'm veteran coach Ian McFarland here with VA Claims Insider. I'm a United States Army veteran of 12 years, retired as a staff sergeant medically at 90%, and fought for my percentage for the next 7 years. with the help of VACI and the wonderful guys and gals over at Telemedica, the preferred provider network that we work with, got me to the 100% permanent total about 2 years ago. We have a running thing here with VACI. I'm a hundo twin with one of our fellow coaches here, Coach Natalie. Her and I both got the same percentage at the same time in the same day. What brought me here to work with as a veteran coach was to give back, to really serve secondly, or serve in a different purpose, in that sense, so I could actually give back to my veterans and help them get what they deserve. That's the number one focus, to get you what you morally, ethically, legally, and medically deserve by law. That's the most important part, and that's my why I do this each and every day. I reside here in Central Texas, just outside of Austin, in a town called Cedar Park. Loved it here. Been here for about 12 years. So I'm gonna kick it over here to. Oh, and by the way, I'm not an elite. I'm still an elite member. I will always be an elite member, because once you're a part of the organization, part of the family, you never leave. You're a member for life. But I'm going to kick it over to Coach Sandra and introduce herself as well. So go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Ian, and thank you for your service as well, Ian. We always forget, because we work together all the time, but thank you as well, Ian. And yes, I am Coach Sandra. Been with VACI almost 4 years, a little bit over 4 years. I am not a veteran, however, my father was. He was in the Air Force, hence the shout out to the Air Force, for 23 years. So very proud daughter of a veteran, grew up overseas, many military bases, surrounded by a lot of military. My uncle was a general. So very familiar with the military life, and very grateful for that life. It gave me a lot of opportunities. I speak various languages because I lived in various countries because of it. So extremely grateful to be here, still serving in the community. I think of my father all the time, and do whatever I can to ensure that I am serving veterans on a day-to-day basis, and assisting with the disability claim process, which can be obviously sometimes frustrating, but an honor to be part of this amazing organization. And thank you for being here with us today. We appreciate it greatly. So we'll get started here shortly. Today's topic is a very important topic. We're going to talk about mental health claims. So I do have to start with the disclaimer first. The disclaimer is that we are not accredited agents. We're not VSOs, which is Veteran Service Officers. We are not attorneys or any other entity recognized by the Department of Veteran Affairs, and we're not affiliated with the VA in any way. VA Claims Insider is an education-based coaching consulting company for disabled veterans, exploring eligibility for increased VA disability benefits, and who wish to learn more about that process. And VA Claims Insider also does connect veterans with our preferred provider network for medical examinations and independent medical opinions, which we call IMOs, for a wide range of disability conditions. So Ian's going to start us off here, and then we'll go from there. Go ahead, Ian.
Thanks so much. Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about what we do here, and what of our processes is, and what it stands for. SEM. It's an acronym for Strategy, Education, and Medical Evidence. So, building up that strategy, that game plan, that roadmap to your claim journey. What's the least path of resistance to get to the most attainable claim? Education, empowering and giving you those education benefits, resources, and all those things that you are empowered with as a veteran client with VA Claims Insider once you've signed up, if you haven't already signed up. And then medical evidence. Here's the big part. Medical evidence wins claims, hands down, every single time. And the guys and gals, the preferred provider network that we work with, Telemedica, can provide you that medical evidence to be able to get that information you may need to be able to win your claim. Okay. So, talk about strategy sessions, get on that calendar if you haven't already, if you are a client. And of course, if you're not, get on board with one of our guys and gals over at the Veteran Ambassadors. You can get on a discovery call. You can get a free call with that and then be able to get on board with us through that call. We'll help you build your claim, and that's part of the claim submission process. We can't do it for you. Okay, so this is a big part of you doing and taking ownership for your claims, and then preparing for the CMP. We want you to be prepared. We want you fully prepared. You're going to hear the word prepared a lot from your coach, because you want to prepare for that claim submission. You want to prepare for the CMP exam, and you want to prepare for the strategy itself too. So there's going to be a lot of processes that are going to be for preparation. Attend any and all and as many as you want live classes via Zoom. They're done 3 times a day. Usually the morning class is coffee with the coaches, unless of course we've got a get your stuff done day type of thing where we'll have no classes that day, or if it's a holiday. Okay, so 3 times a day, coffee with coaches, or I'm sorry, 5 times a week we have coffee with coaches. Okay. Mental Health Mondays, or mental health, what used to be called Mental Health Mondays, is Mental Health Exam Prep now. That's done on Monday at 7 p.m. Central and on Thursday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Medical Exam Prep is both Monday and Tuesday. So Monday at 12 p.m. Central and Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central. So check out those classes. If you are already a client, it'll be on your Insider portal under Quick Links. It'll be 10 live classes or the live class calendar. So book that discovery call. So if you want to learn more, schedule a free discovery call. Talk to one of our team members by going on to vaclaims.help. If you need help, reach out to the organization at vaclaimsinsider.com. We'd love to partner up with you on your VA claim journey. Okay, so the topic. We're going to discuss the topic. Is it important that we understand mental health in veterans, and what next steps you'd like? Mental health dominates every aspect of human life, and it controls the way we interact with our situations daily. A sound body needs sound mental health. However, life often presents us with challenges that plunges us deep into the abyss of mental health problems and different illnesses. Knowing what to look for with mental health symptoms in veterans can be helpful for understanding what your best option is. So, what is mental health? Mental health described as can show up in a multitude of ways. So most frequently it's chronic depression. This is a severe form of mental illness that can take over an individual's everyday life and ruin it completely. Depression ranges in seriousness from mild temporary episodes of sadness to severe persistent depression. Chronic depression is quite severe, and it's often known as major depression, clinical depression, or major depressive disorder. All right, and so what is this for? So the reality of the job you've undertaken means that the majority of us will come home with some sort of mental health condition. Combat or non-combat PTSD and mental health can still be a huge factor in life, most services, and needs to be addressed. The underlying motive of this is to raise awareness regarding medical health and mental health issues in society. If you're well educated about mental health problems, you can officially tackle them. This will serve as a guideline for you to identify the disease before it gets too late. If you identify the symptoms as this early stage, you can save yourself and your loved ones from going down a dark path. Awareness is crucial when dealing with mental health problems, because sometimes it's too late before we begin fighting back. And this is kind of important. So you want to be aware, you want to be conscious of these things. You don't want to go down that dark path where it could lead into something else. I'm going to kick it over to Sandra, and we'll talk about, how do you know if you qualify for mental health claims?
Exactly. So how do you know if you do qualify to submit a claim for mental health? When we're looking at mental health claims, one of the reasons why the majority of these claims are denied is specifically because you do not have a diagnosis. So a diagnosis has to be rendered for a mental health condition. So a psychologist would be that person who renders that diagnosis. And keep in mind, in general, anytime you submit a claim to the VA, any condition needs to be diagnosed. If not, the VA will automatically deny your claim without a diagnosis. So specifically related to mental health claims, the majority of the denials are specifically because there's no diagnosis. And in addition to the diagnosis, another element that you will need is called the nexus, meaning the nexus is another word for the link or the correlation. So the nexus meaning the connection of that mental health condition to service, or if it is submitted as a secondary, that mental health condition secondary to other service-connected disabilities, right? So that's a little bit of the outline as why they're denied and what you need in order to submit a claim. So in general, depression is a low mood that lasts for a long time and affects every aspect of someone's life. It can disturb either your sleeping patterns, it can disturb maybe the way your diet is or your routine, and also, more importantly, your social interactions. So depression does range in severity, so from lower to higher. Mild depression may disappear after a while, but chronic or clinical depression can last for an extended period of time. And also, if it does, obviously can completely upset the natural balance of somebody's life, a veteran's life, or in general, your life. So chronic depression specifically may also lead to life-threatening consequences, including suicidal tendencies, suicidal ideation, and self-harm. So if you are worried that you may be suffering from clinical depression, I'm going to outline a couple symptoms that will identify this mental illness. So continually feeling sad, empty, or hopeless, angry outbursts, irritability, or being frustrated all the time, loss of interest in activities, either physical or activities in general, sleep disturbances. So if you suffer from, for example, insomnia, that would be one of the symptoms. Tiredness or lack of energy, reduced appetite, weight loss or weight gain, meaning you're craving more food. Anxiety is a great indication. Agitation, restlessness, guilty feelings, maybe being fixated on past failures, self-blame, and unexplained physical problems, like if you suffer from back pain continuously or headaches. Those are some of the symptoms that can cause, obviously, difficulties in your everyday or day-to-day activities. So I just mentioned a variety of symptoms. If you feel that you suffer from any of the above, or even a combination of those symptoms, seeking professional help or medical counseling, therapy would be obviously something that you'd like to do.
All right, and what do you think? What do I think if I have this? Well, if you believe that you or someone you know maybe suffering from chronic or clinical depression, you should immediately seek help from a professional medical expert. Rather than self-medicating and thinking that you get over it, you should seek counsel for professional. They can diagnose your situation with accuracy and also prescribe helpful medication to overcome the situation. So if you're feeling down and out, you're getting some of those struggles that Sandra was just talking about, seek that medical help. We don't want you to make a decision that you'll regret, that you can never take back. So use those numbers, use the suicide hotlines if necessary, if you come to that point where it's too much. So please. That's veteran to veteran, or an NCO to another soldier. That's pretty much how it goes. If you believe that you're someone you know in this severe danger of hurting yourselves due to chronic depression, you should immediately call 911 or suicidal hotline, just like I was just addressing. It's very important. We need to bring these numbers down of the 22 a day. We take push-ups and all those things is an example to commemorate those things and to kind of notify those things that we care about them. We're supporting the cause to be able to suppress from it and to prevent it as much as we can. So reach out. If you have to reach out to your coach, if you've got a coach already, if you don't, get on that discovery call like we were talking about before and get with a coach so we can start getting you some help. What are the top 3 things I need to know about it? Well, chronic depression can take over your life and completely ruin it before you even realize it's going on. You need to understand that the top 3 things to battle about in the efficient manner. So suicidal tendencies, we're going to kind of go over these and kind of how to describe them. So it's chronic or clinical depression is known to have induced feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and suicidal tendencies in an individual. You need to understand that suicidal tendencies are just a side effect of the disease. These feelings and tendencies are not real. They stem from the mental health problems. To battle these tendencies, you need to continually remind yourself that this is a temporary phase and it will soon pass. Just keep in mind that the ideation of the thought could pass. It could be there. It could just go away. But a fleeting thought is still something that needs to be addressed. Disturbed diet routine. So chronic depression brings along the unwanted side effect of diet, loss of or increased diet intake. If you're suffering from chronic depression, you need to understand that your decisions will have a long-time effects on your body. You seek professional help from the expert for your mental health problems. Depression is an interesting thing to talk about too. You may be sitting in bed all the time and not even wanting to do anything, and a lot of those things will cause you not wanting to eat or wanting to eat your feelings away, and you are overeating too. So just keep those things in mind. If you are experiencing those things, again, like it says, seek professional help, seek professional counsel. We're not doctors here. We're not going to pretend to be. Please seek out that help if necessary. Being active. When an individual is suffering from chronic or clinical depression, they often become inactive and lose their interest in physical activities. If you're suffering, try to keep your body healthy by regularly working out or being active. Depending on geographic location, many VA facilities have health and fitness options for the veterans. I know here there's a lot of different options you can go through. A lot of different gyms out there to offer veteran discounts, or just get out there and walk. Enjoy nature, enjoy the fresh air. I know I try to get out as much as I can to enjoy nature and have that nice little walk, little stroll for, I call stroll 3 miles. Okay, so your stroll may not be 3 miles, but my stroll is about 3 miles, and a part of the step challenge that we're doing here too. So find something you enjoy that can kind of get you out there, not necessarily out in public, but at least outside, so you can get some of that fresh air and some of that exercise.
Indeed. Very important. Specifically now talking about mental health VA ratings, there are many different conditions that qualify a veteran for these, VA ratings. So the most common mental health disorders that are impacting veterans in general are PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and TBI, which is traumatic brain injury. However, there's many more mental health conditions that can qualify you for a VA disability compensation. So I'm going to go over a little bit what other mental health conditions do qualify for disability ratings. So PTSD, of course, which I just mentioned. Depression. Under the depression disorders, we can look at major depressive disorder or persistent depressive disorder, schizophrenia meaning delusional disorders or other psychotic disorders. Also major or mild neurocognitive disorders due to TBI or traumatic brain injury, which can include Alzheimer's, substance medication-induced infections, major and mild vascular neurocognitive disorders, anxiety, and again, generalized anxiety disorder. Under that, we look at other specified or unspecified anxiety disorders, social anxiety, social phobias, illness anxiety disorder, specific phobias, amnesia, identity disorder, somatic symptom disorder, and related disorders, bipolar disorder, chronic adjustment disorder. So those are, not maybe all of them, but the more general mental health disorders that a veteran can qualify for VA disability. So keep in mind one thing, personality disorders and substance abuse disorders generally cannot be service. Although in some instances, the substance abuse can be granted a rating if it is secondary to another mental health condition. So if you're already service connected for a specific mental health condition, the substance abuse can be granted a rating as a secondary. All right, Ian.
Yeah, and just to add to that too, Sandra, you can always research a lot of these things on the VA Claims Insider website. If you're not a client yet, you can also, sign up to be becoming a client, go into that, get that free discovery call with one of the veteran ambassadors. Or you can even go into our YouTube channel and research just about any topic as well. There's a wide range of different topics that we talked about in the past. So how can I learn more? I kind of alluded to a little bit of that. It's always essential to keep yourself educated about the situation. Read up on mental health problems will all allow you to control your train of thoughts and train your body and mind to be a happier and healthier life. Some online forums and websites help one understand the severity of the situation and offer constructive ways to deal with such situations. So you can use WebMD or Military Disability Made Easy. If you're already a client, you get a free year of this. This is a simplistic version of the 38 CFR Part 4. If you're not, again, get on one of those free discovery calls and get on board. It can only help you in the end. If you want to take ownership of your claim, get on board, talk to one of the veteran ambassadors for that free discovery call. It's among the best site to visit to find out more about the chronic depression and its side effects. You could also visit our nearest urgent care or your nearest urgent care clinic and learn more about your mental health illnesses from the on-duty doctor. You can also get some pamphlets to learn quick facts about the disease. So typically, you walk in an office, especially if it's a specific clinician for mental health. They'll have a variety of different topics from TBI to depression to PTSD and various other things that are in there too. Various pamphlets, good information pieces. Again, knowledge is power. When you're ready to make the leap to finally get the rating you deserve, then follow this simple intake form. Someone will be in contact with you within 96 hours. So there's an intake form there for you to fill out. And we're a little early on the time frame, but we're going to go ahead and start the Q&A. Didn't take too much time to get through some of the things, but it's important to really empower yourself with education, empower yourself with knowledge, because there are a lot of things out there that can do. We're not the clinicians, okay? We're not going to pretend to be. We're never going to say to, use this medication or use this practice or any of those things, because we're not that. Get with your coach. They can get you on board with Telemedica, which, like I said, that's the entity that we work with. It's a preferred provider network that can get you that medical evidence, because, like I said before, medical evidence wins claims.
All right, we do have some questions in the chat that we can address. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to just write those in the chat feature. So let's see here. As far as mental health goes, would self-medicating or becoming addicted to drugs or alcohol be a definite reason or a diagnosis to connect to service connection? I mentioned that a little bit earlier. Specifically, a substance abuse is not generally a VA or service connected. However, if you have another mental health condition that you're diagnosed with, the substance abuse in general, alcohol or drug, can be a secondary to your mental health condition. So if you haven't as of yet you want to reach out to your provider, mental health provider, and start engaging in conversation with them so that you eventually be diagnosed, if warranted, of course, of a diagnosis. Once you do have a diagnosis, then of course the substance abuse can be connected to that mental health condition. So very important, if you feel that you are suffering from any of the symptoms that we discussed earlier, anything related to service that you feel you're suffering from, or you feel that something occurred during service that was extremely traumatic or a stressor event. A lot of veterans that I speak to, but I believe in general, many veterans suppress their feelings. They don't want to address the feelings. They don't want to speak about them. They are trying to suppress those feelings. So, if it is something obviously related to service, you absolutely deserve to speak about it, to be heard, and to be, obviously compensated for that condition. So please reach out. The VA is obviously a great place to start, but it's not the only place. If you don't go to the VA, of course, your own provider or anyone private can also do that for you. But great question. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Roger Monahan has a question about headaches claims. He says, headache claim has been deferred for over a month, and what should I do? Well, it sounds like you're already with a coach there, Roger. So get with your coach and really talk about those things. There could be a lot of things that are going on too. Deferred could mean you could have had a claim prior to that, and they deferred the one claim, or maybe they need more evidence. Maybe they need something else from you too. So really reach out to your coach and discuss those things and let them know what's going on. There's some other resources out there that you can utilize, but I don't want to step on your coach's toes, that you can get from to get further evidence or further information from, that you can reach out to your regional office and some other ways too possible. But key point, 1-800-827-1000 could be another way you could actually do. That gets a lot of information for the veteran too. It's the VA, like it says there on the bottom, it's the helpline. Okay, so a lot of times too, here's the piece that I always give my veterans is that if you don't get the right answer the first time, maybe they're reading from a script or what have you, really you're taking ownership of your claim anyway. So really, if you need to, call them a couple times. I've had to call them several times to get the answer that I needed. But definitely reach out to your coach and discuss those things, because that could be something that you guys you're going over, or he or she may have some information for you as well.
All right, we do have another question, which I kind of a little bit touched upon. Do the mental claims or mental health claims have to be diagnosed by the VA, or can it be diagnosed by a civilian doctor? And yes, a civilian, private therapist, a psychologist, psychiatrist, the VA, of course, a medical professional can diagnose you with it. It doesn't have to be specifically the VA. If you do go to the VA, it's good to have it on record, because obviously the benefit side of the VA does have access to the VA records. So if you do engage for your medical needs at the VA, you want to speak to your provider and seek assistance through them. It's not mandatory at all, but it's good to have on record so that it's annotated in your blue button report, which is your VA health records. So no, the answer is no, you do not have to be diagnosed by the VA necessarily.
Yeah, that's a good point. Diagnosis is a diagnosis, no matter where you get it from. So, typically when it comes to mental health, they're actually every time they're board certified doctors that are psychologists or psychiatrists that can diagnose you for the conditions. So just keep those things in mind. It doesn't matter where you get the diagnosis from. It's up to you. Efren's got a really good question. It does come up quite a bit too, and I don't want to dive too much into your individual HIPAA stuff. So, is military sexual trauma led to a substance abuse disorder rated? Well, it depends. Okay, but it is rated based off of the rating schedule, based off the 38 CFR Part 4. So MST, or military sexual trauma, is one of those harder ones, unless you've got identifiers, I guess you could say. They could be non-descriptive, or they could be directly from the clergy, or they could be directly from a police report or something like that. But there's other things that can be contributed to that can be used for those things too, such as, was there a change in relationships? Was there a divorce? Was there a change in job due to did you guys switch jobs in the military due to this? Did you have to leave the unit because of this? So there's a lot of different things that can meet the criteria. Definitely get with your coach. This is more strategy geared. And I don't want to step on their toes, like I said before in the beginning. But if you're just starting out, and that you're not a veteran, you're not an elite member yet, get on the horn with us, getting help with the discovery call, that free discovery call with one of the veteran ambassadors, and I'll get the ball rolling for you. Hope that answers your question, Efren. I didn't try to make it too vague, but that's about as what we can do here as much as possible. Because if you're an elite member, we don't want to step on the coach's toes.
There's another question. How do you prove the traumatic event 50 years ago in Vietnam? Thomas, thank you again, all of you, and you as well, Thomas, for your service. That's a great question. There is a big gap of time, right, that has gone from when you served to today. So one of the first things that you do want to do is make sure that you have a diagnosis. So I'm not sure if you already have, or if you're engaged with VA Claims Insider, or on your own. You want to reach out and start talking about the symptoms that you do suffer from, or that you struggle with, that may have carried on from 50 years ago. Like I mentioned earlier, many veterans suppress their feelings. They're told to suck it up. They're told to be strong and move on and don't complain. So a lot of instances where you find veterans who, years later, are suffering in silence, and you need to reach out to someone so that you can at least be diagnosed. Once you have a diagnosis, then you can start moving forward through the claims process. How do you prove it? There's many ways, just like Coach Ian just mentioned. Any changes in lifestyle, anything that occurred back then when you were in service, if you have any evidence to support it. Another thing is if you received any medals during service. What does your DD-214 say? Where were you exactly? What occurred? What were the events that occurred during that time? What did you witness? So you want to, start building your claim and gathering all the evidence, all the information to support that claim. And then once you do that, and I don't know if you are with VA Claims Insider or not, but if you're not, I would suggest all of you to come on board. We love helping you. So, but if not, start with your diagnosis and start gathering evidence, writing down notes, anything that you can remember. What medals did you receive? Where were you? What timeline? What other conditions do you suffer from? Because being a Vietnam vet, there are presumptive claims that you can look at as well due to Agent Orange exposure. So definitely something you want to move forward with. I think I saw another question that was put on the screen. If you want to go ahead and put that up.
Yeah, Linda Jackson.
Okay.
I have a 90% combined rating, 70% due to PTSD. I was hospitalized for 2 occasions for major depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, agoraphobia, panic, anxiety, migraine headaches, so on and so forth. Okay. Been on a host of different medications through years, and even underwent ECT, electroshock therapy at the VA hospital, and was still under the care of a VA psychiatrist. Would this disqualify for a secondary claim for PTSD? Are we talking about the ECT? Would that disqualify you for the PTSD claim? And to be completely clear, you don't need PTSD per se to have a diagnosis in order to get to a high percentage. Let's be frank about this too. Mental health is mental health is mental health. It's all rated underneath the same umbrella, the same rating schedule. It's just based off of severity of symptoms. How bad does it feel? How long does that feeling last? And how many times does it happen? That's what the VA is really looking for. Linda, can you clarify on that question? I just want to make sure I'm answering it correctly for you so I can give you the best possible answer.
And while we wait for that, just keep in mind that if you are already rated for a mental health condition, there are other conditions that you can actually claim as secondaries, just like we're discussing here, to that mental health. So there are, most common secondary conditions to mental health can include irritable bowel syndrome, GERD, which is reflux or acid reflux disease, migraines, headaches, sleep apnea, sometimes depending on the situation, and erectile dysfunction, also both female and male, is another one of those conditions. So just to touch upon lightly on secondaries, those are usually the most common. So if migraine headaches is one of yours, Linda, that would qualify. Again, a nexus letter, meaning establishing the link between those migraines and the PTSD has to be established by a medical professional. So I hope that helps answer as well. I don't know if there was any other follow-up on that, Coach Ian.
There wasn't, and I think I got some clarity of what she was trying to say. She said, would this qualify as a secondary claim for PTSD? She's not saying anything about PTSD due to or anything like that. So are we talking about your headaches due to a secondary claim for your PTSD? If she's not there, what, and kind of alluding what Coach Saunders just said, is that it could be, a secondary causation of that condition. But really, get with a coach and really start talking about those things. That's really geared towards your strategy. If this was me, if this was one of my clients, that would be not necessarily a clear path, but there'd be some things you need to get done first beforehand to possibly if you do have a diagnosis for migraine headaches, or are you service connected for it? And is the other connected condition causing the condition to get worse? So there's a lot of different things that could be in there too. So severity of symptoms is the key part of that too. So great question.
Yes. A couple other questions that are very similar. How long does it take for a higher level review? And then how long does it take to get military medical records? And then a little bit similar-ish is if your PTSD appeal is denied, what other options do you have? So as far as the higher level review, I'm not sure if you already had a higher level review or not, but the VA states about 125 days, right? So 4 months-ish after the higher level review. We leave it in the hands of the VA. The VA is handling your claim or your appeal. So unfortunately, we don't have a specific timeline. It all depends on, is the VA backlogged? Do they have, what regional office is handling your claim? How many claims were before that? There's so many probable, issues, if you will, that there's not a really good answer for that. But typically the VA states 125 days. That's for a claim and appeal. Medical records, another lengthy, unfortunate, request. You can indeed, if they are available. It can take up to a year. It can take up, maybe 3 to 4 months. If you separated after 2008, there's a website, I believe, Ian, it's tricare.com. You may be able to reach out and find information there related to your service records as well. So you want to do some research on that. But it can take some time. It's the VA you request, and then, of course, they have to process your request. And then the last question was, if your PTSD appeal was denied, what other options do you have? Well, you do have options for sure. Not sure if you have a coach or not, but it all depends on what appeal you initiated with. Was it a higher level review? Was it a supplemental claim? But you always do have options to appeal over and over again. Stay in the fight, keep fighting. The only thing you cannot do, Victor, is do a higher level review back to back, meaning if you already had one, you cannot do another one, but you can alternate supplemental appeal or higher level review appeals. All right.
And here's another one too. It's come up quite a bit, and I'm going to give you some clarity on CEP exams and the adjudicator and the rater. So Christian Brown talks about how likely is to receive 100% disability if the VA C&P examiner indicated on my C&P exam total and occupational social impairment. So that is a 100% rating, right? Understand that completely based off the 38 CFR. Here's the skinny of it too. That is the C&P examiner's recommendation. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you're going to get. I know that's not the answer you want to hear, but the rater and the actual rater and the adjudicator are the ones that make the final say. So you can think of the C&P examiner as just the evaluation. Okay, that they're the evaluator. They don't know for sure if that's going to be your exact. That's why they can't tell you, you're going to get this condition, this rating, right? So then you need to go and look and basically realize that the rater and the ones that are actually at the VA, the ones that actually make the decisions, are the ones that are going to make the decisions based off of all of the evidence, not just the C&P exam, but all the evidence submitted to the claim. Hope that helps.
Definitely a positive, right? When the C&P examiner specifically is indicating that the condition is at, at that level, the 100% level. And thanks for joining us, Chris, today. Appreciate it. All right, let's see.
Charles has got one too. So my telemedical report diagnosed me with PTSD chronic and noted some codes. GAD-7 is severe, PHQ-9 is severe, and PCL-5 is severe. So what do they all mean? Well, those three codes are different things that the psychologist uses. So I'm not a clinician, so I'm not going to pretend to tell you that I know exactly what those are. But the word severe tells me that they were severe. So just keep those things in mind. If you are using Telemedica, go over that with your coach. Also in that part 2, you will also see a section where it talks about that social and occupational impairment. You may meet the criteria where it sits in that one section too. Again, it's a medical opinion. Okay, so it's not the end of all be all, but it gives you more success for sure.
And psychologists have a certain method to determine the diagnosis. So they ask questions, they have a protocol that they have to adhere to in order to render that diagnosis. So those GAD, generalized anxiety disorder, I believe the number is related to the severity of the condition, but those are just codes that they use that are very well known within the medical field or mental health field to indicate the severity of a certain scale of what was asked of you. So the questionnaire that was provided, and these are the results based on the questions and your evaluation.
Yeah, from my experience from having mental health and gone through these were forms we had to fill out before they actually went through the exam. So those are a series of forms that were on the actual exam, and you would go through those different forms. The number code, I can't tell you. I don't remember what that means, and I don't want to pretend that I do know what it means. So possibly, give it a Google. we say, go ahead and Google the stuff and see if that helps out. I hate that being the answer that I give you, but that's as most I can give you. If you are, again, it looks like you are with a coach, so get with your coach, and you guys can kind of discuss that too.
Here's another question. I've been admitted to the PTSD clinic for about 2 months now for depression and anxiety. Can I go ahead and fill out the claim at this moment, or should I wait any longer? Thank you as well, Michael, for your service. And, my best to you. I hope that, being where you are will help out, and anyone in general. Look, it is very important to reach out if you are suffering from any of the mental health symptoms that we did describe earlier. However, not sure if you're diagnosed as of yet, Michael, I know you've been admitted for those conditions. Of diagnosis, again, remember, needs to be rendered by a medical professional in order to move forward with your claim. So, and also remember that the condition or the mental health diagnosis that is rendered needs to be related to service. So in order for the VA to entertain your claim, there has to be a connection, a nexus, a correlation between the mental health disorder or diagnosis and service. So can you eventually, yes. I'm not sure if you are with VA Claims Insider or not, but if you are, that is something you definitely want to discuss with your coach. And if not, make sure that you do have a diagnosis, and then make sure that you're establishing the link between that diagnosis and your service in order for the VA to entertain your claim. And best wishes to you, sir. Another quick question: what is the fastest way to get a copy of my CMP results for PTSD? Very, very, very common question. Not really fast. So one option is, Calvin, if your exam, your CMP exam, CMP, by the way, for those not familiar with acronyms, CMP is Compensation and Pension Exam. It is an exam that is provided by the VA after you submit your claim. So CMP exam, if it was conducted by the VA, meaning at a VA facility specifically, more than likely the results will be on your blue button report, on your VA health records. And it usually takes about 30 days after that exam for them to appear on your VA health records. If not, the only way to obtain those results, the CMP exam results, is by you filling out a FOIA request. It's Freedom of Information Act form. And you can find that on the VA website. You fill that out and you submit it to the VA, and then they will provide you that information. It may take a little bit, but that would be the other way to obtain your results.
Ray Fain has a question about working with dental. Got Hep B while working in a dental MOS. Is that a qualifier for a claim? Could be. Okay, so if it's in your service treatment records, it's possible it could be. It could be a nexus to procure that particular diagnoses. But this is going to be another question for a coach. Individually, if this was my veteran, I would make sure that all the information is there. Most conditions, most diseases, most infections have to be active and still in the system for it to be qualified for a claim. There can be residual factors to it too. So there could be some other things that are going on in the body that could have been a residual factor because of the exposure. But exposure in itself is not a claimable condition, just like exposure to burn pits or exposure to asbestos or any of those other PACT Act claims that are out there too. So exposure to the actual infection is not the diagnosable condition, not the qualifying claim. It's the residual factors of what it had an impact on your body itself. Anything to add, Sandra?
No, I think that was addressed perfectly. Thank you. Yeah.
Hope that helps, Ray.
Yes.
If you're not one of the insiders, as we call them, get on with one of the wonderful guys and gals over with our veteran ambassadors. Get that free discovery call and get the ball rolling. And thank you so much for your service. Got a few more minutes and a few more questions. James has got a question. You want to grab that one, Sandra?
That's exactly what I was going to say. How hard is it to connect diagnosed anxiety to service? I wasn't diagnosed till a few years after service. So again, earlier we talked about the nexus, meaning the connection between that diagnosed mental health condition and service. So I'm not sure if you are with VA Claims Insider or not, but a nexus letter is a document that is provided by a medical professional, or of course in this example, a psychologist, that helps establish the link between that anxiety disorder or mental health condition and service, right? So just like Coach Ian earlier stated, medical evidence is very, very, very important. The more information you have to support that claim, any in-service events that occurred, any stressors, Though that all is the evidence that you need to gather to support your claim for VA disability. But remember, the nexus needs to be established in order for the VA to entertain your claim.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and recap about what we talked about today. Thanks for joining us. If we didn't get to your question, feel free to join any of these live classes that we have every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central. So closing thoughts, mental health claims, talking about different preventative factors, different criteria, different conditions that we went over for PTSD, different mental health conditions overall. What are some of those things? What are some of the variances? What are some of the top 3 things you need to know? What is this all for?
Okay. Very important. The symptoms.
Yeah. Severity of symptoms. What do I do if I think I have this? Is one of the criteria. What are the top 3 things? That suicidal tendencies, disturbance of diet and routine, and being active. Those kind of important things, and some of the things that the neurological issues that Sandra brought up too. PTSD, depression, TBI, GAD, are known as generalized anxiety disorder, somatic symptom disorder, usually related to something physical, bipolar, and chronic adjustment disorder. And of course, how you can learn more. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. Simple intake forms, going to your doctor, and all those things too. Okay. So going over the
Indeed. No, I was just going to say, yes, indeed. And take care of yourself. I was just going to add to that. Yes, as we mentioned earlier, many of those symptoms, if you do suffer from any of the above, or if you relate to anything that we talked about today, please reach out to your provider and follow up, take care of yourself. Very important. Many veterans, one of the most common claims submitted is mental health, because of course mental health is really, really common within veterans. So indeed, follow up with that. Just a couple other things. Yes, we do have the VA Claims Insider website, vaclaimsinsider.com if you need more information. There is also vaclaims.help if you need to want to engage and see what we're all about. That would be wonderful. I hope to speak to some of you in the near future. And also, of course, we do provide, once you are and you come on board and you become a member of VA Claims Insider. Remember, if you do become a member, it is free to become a member. You're not charged a fee at all to become a member of our VA Claims Insider company. You will be, once you do become a member, you'll be assigned a coach like myself and Coach Ian. And then we get started. We start strategizing. We look at, different areas where we can move forward with and decide what path to move forward with, right? So once you do become a member, many resources that you will have available to you. Remember, we are an education-based company, so lots of resources. You have your coach as your resource. We do live classes, Zoom meetings every day that help you throughout the process of your claims process. So I know we only have very little left. I wanted to thank you real quick before I hand it over to Coach Ian. Thank you so much for joining us today. Take care of yourself. Mental health is extremely important. And thank you, more importantly, for your service.
Thanks so much for joining us. We'd love to partner with you on your VA claim journey. We'll see you next time, and welcome home. Welcome home, everyone. Have a great day.
Yes, take good care.